All right, folks, welcome back to our uh, creating an animatronic horror bear series. This point, we're getting close to the final videos because we've got the character ready to go. So this next video, we'll look at how to actually start animating him, keyframing him. And then we'll probably do one or two more videos on setting up cameras and setting up lighting so that you can render um, your piece, and then probably a video on putting it all back together in, say, Adobe Premiere or something like that. But first, let's go ahead and get started with this one. I'm going to go up to Workspace, General, then Reset Current Workspace. Then I'm going to go to File, Set Project, look for my Fred project, hit Set, then go to File, Open Scene, look for Fred 22, and I'm going to do a file save scene as. We're going to call this Fred 23. All right, so now that we've got Fred ready, we are going to try to animate him. And so we're just going to use our controllers here. So what I'm going to do is go to the joints over here in my outliner. If you don't see it, I'm going to go to Window, Outliner, grab the joints, and let's hide those. That way we don't accidentally grab them. Now we should just be able to grab mostly the um, controls themselves. And so what we will do is uh, in the description of the video, I have put a link to a little file that I was able to find on the web. I don't own the rights to it. It's actually from a animation book. But it is looks like angryanimator.com has this posted. It was just something I Googled walk cycle reference. And so this is kind of what we're going to do. Now, obviously, once we do this, you'll be able to go in and actually animate this character doing all kinds of stuff because all I'm really showing you in this video is how to set keyframes. And for us, we'll just set a walk cycle together. So I'm going to pull that off screen for now. But you can use it if you need to. And I'm going to work a lot in perspective view, but a lot of my setup is actually going to be done in the side view. I'm going to use perspective, though, to make sure I grab the correct controllers in most cases. All right, so we are going to get started. So again, side view here, and then perspective view to help us grab the controllers. So down at the bottom, we have our uh, timeline. You can add more to it if you need to by simply grabbing this little knob here. If you need more frames, you can actually type in a higher number and you can add more. And I'm actually going to, I'm going to go, I think 120 is probably plenty for right now. Might actually be a little too much, but we'll go at 120. All right, so based off of our little example, we're going to make sure our slider here is on frame 1. Then I'm going to pose our bear to look like he's in the first pose of our example, which is labeled contact. So I'm going to take his elbow here, his elbow control in the front. I'm going to grab my rotate tool. I'm going to rotate it up some. And then I'm going to press or choose the upper arm control. And I'm going to rotate it some. and maybe even do the wrist a little bit. I'm not going to worry about all the fingers for this particular piece. Again, I'm just showing you how to use our controls. Now, if I don't do the next step, we won't set a keyframe, which will then, if I move my character again, it'll change to that new piece and not store these settings. So what I'm going to do is each of these controllers that I actually moved, I'm going to select them by holding Shift, and then I'm going to press S on the keyboard. You'll notice it puts a frame here. All right, so that allows us to set a keyframe. Then I'm going to go to the other side, and I'm going to rotate it backwards. So start doing these to match our little picture. All right, so then I'm going to shift select each of those, and I'm going to press S. Now we need to do the legs. So in this case, the legs should be basically opposite the arms. So this one's forward, so the front leg here should be facing backwards or pointing backwards. I'm going to rotate it back. Then I'm going to rotate the knee some and rotate the ankle some. I'm actually, if you notice, your toes are going, oh, grab the wrong one. Do not want the waist at the moment. All right. So then I'm going to grab each of those, and we will notice there's going to be some touch-ups we technically have to make because his feet will go through the floor. But again, I'm just trying to show you the basics. Then you can go through and fine-tune everything that you want. Now this leg should be forward. I'm going to go ahead and rotate that one forward. The knee down a little bit, maybe just a hair on the foot. And we'll bring the knee back. Oh, not that far. Let's bring the leg actually down. All right, then we'll shift click each of those and press S. All right, so we've set all of those keyframes for the first pose. Now, what we're going to do is basically it's going to take a little under a second, or probably about a second actually, for a character to make a full step. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go to about a little over a second, frame 25, and we can tell we're on what our frames per second are down here in the bottom right. It's currently 24. That's fine for me for this piece. If I was working to put this in with live action footage, I would want to change that to match with live action footage, 29.97. You just got to know what you're working with. But we are trying to create a cycle. We want our character to return back to his pose that he started with. So what I'm going to do is each of the controllers that I have set keyframes on, I'm going to go ahead and select those. So the wrists or the palm, whatever they're called, the shoulders, forearms, each of these that I have set keyframes on already, the knee, the upper leg, the feet. I'm going to select those controllers. Now I'm going to go up to Window, Animation Editor, Graph Editor. You'll notice On frame one, it has all these little diamonds. Those are those keyframes. So what I'm going to do is drag a box over all of them, do Control C on my keyboard. I'm going to expand this and see my slider is currently over here on frame 25. I'm going to hit Control V. It's going to copy those keyframes to this one. That way we don't have to go reset them exactly later on. Then I'm going to go to frame 13, which is our middle point for the most part. I'll close this for now. And we're going to look at our center uh, example that we have. And so there's a couple ways you can do this. If we wanted, I could take a piece of paper, which I think is what I'm going to do. You see how much all these are. If you want, you can take like a sheet of paper. If you want them to be exact opposites of each other, you can jot down these rotation settings and then just copy them to the other side. I think I'm just going to eyeball this more than anything for right now, just for time purposes. But you can do that. So if you wanted, like, if I wanted this arm, the upper arm to match the opposite of this, or to match what this one would have been, I would take this 61.382 and I would put it in this spot. And then opposite that, I'd flip them around. Again, for time purposes, I'm just going to eyeball this. So I'm going to go to, we'll start on this front view. And you can also, at least for the first one, use the other one as your example. We're kind of just going through here, trying to flip them around. Those are actually almost perfect opposites each other if we just flip the position of the legs. All right, so then what we would do, select again, all of these controllers. Even if we didn't actually move them this time, we still want to set those keyframes. So I'm going to select each of the ones that I've already done keyframes on to make sure we lock in a keyframe for each of them at this position. I'll press S. So now we've got these three keyframes. So if I play through, he looks like he's starting to walk. So then we would go through at different points. So in the case of the example that I've kind of shown y'all, this walk cycle here. So this is our frame 13, 25, 1. So in between 1 and 13, we've got these three poses that we can set to make it look a little more natural. Because right now, with just these three keyframes, Maya's kind of figuring out the in-betweens. But if I want it to look like, say on frame 7, this middle point right here, I need to pose it like that with the knee bending like that, so that Maya knows, okay, I need to try to make this knee bend, come up, and then go from here to there kind of thing. So you want to try to set those keyframes. Again, we're just kind of rushing through this. I'll set all those after this video, but we want to just get you comfortable with setting it up. So now that we've got it kind of set up, what I'm going to do now, again, go back in and fill in those extra keyframes. But what I'm going to do is we don't just need him walking in place. So what I'll do is go to Window, Graph Editor. Oop, forgot to select my controls. So I want to select the controls that I have keyframes on. And again, you probably want to save this step until you've got all of your controls keyframed. Because what you're going to do is, once I have those, I'll pull up my graph editor. This is what it looks like. So I'll drag a box around everything, do Control C, come to frame 25, Control V. And I just keep working my way over if I want to add more steps. So I can just keep copy and pasting. That's why, again, you want to make sure everything is set up the way you want so that you can just copy everything real quick. Even his head should kind of like turn to the side. His torso should kind of shift. His waist should shift a little bit with the direction his legs move and such. But once you've copy and pasted those, now we want him to actually look like he's moving. So what I'll do is on frame 1, I'll grab my root control and I'll press S. Then I'll go to frame 25 where my next one is. Let's just kind of look. His steps cover about, so this would be our middle point. So his step should allow him to move about I think about 2 blocks for every movement. So at frame 25, when he finishes his first block or step, I'm going to try to see what it looks like if I move the center point to about 2 blocks forward and press S. Let's just see if that looks natural. Not, let's see. If he goes like that, this should be where the first one is. But maybe we move it actually. Sorry, just trying to get an idea of how much I need to make him move. This might actually be where he needs to be 2 blocks up. So let's move him up 2 blocks and see what that looks like. His foot actually needs to stay, his heel needs to stay there. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to start fresh with this. I'm going to go back to my graph editor, get those and delete them. Close that. Let's start over fresh. So let's set a keyframe here. Then his heel, he should slide a little bit forward as that heel comes back. So let's move him right about there. Let's move him forward a hair. See what that looks like. Okay, that looks better. Then right here, he should push forward about a step. That's looking better. So I've got like at frame 1, I just set the keyframe. Frame 5, I set it to where his kind of foot, this foot is what I'm looking at, kind of slides forward or backwards a little bit. And then this one pushes off. Now, once it pushes off, we look at where this one is. And I press S to set a keyframe for it. And I want to try to keep this heel up where that one was. And so I'm just going to keep working my way. So that one was actually a little behind the line. So I'm going to push it back a little further so it doesn't look like he's sliding. Because we want it to look like as he puts his foot down, whatever foot is moved up front, that's kind of the one he's pushing off of. So it should stay close to the same spot while the other one comes over. And we just kind of keep working our way. So I'll let you play around with that too. Again, you don't want to do all of this until you've got your actual movement of his arms and body nice and clean and create a cycle that you can duplicate over and over. So that's kind of where we'll end this one off because we'll let you kind of animate what you want your character to do. And in the next video, we'll look at throwing some lighting in there, setting up a camera, and then in future ones, we'll render it and put it together in Adobe Premiere. But for now, I'm going to keep cleaning mine up, and I'm just going to go ahead and do a file save, and we'll see you in the next video. Good luck.